Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the Platinum Games retrospective. Today we'll be going over the history of Bayonetta and Vanquish and reviewing each respective title. This video is going to be a doozy, so let's get right into it. After Mad World and Infinite Space released, it was time to show what Platinum Games is really made of, with their true next-gen releases. Bayonetta started development in January 2007 and was directed by Hideki Kamiya, the director of such greats as Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry, Beautiful Joe, and of course, Okami. He's an ex-Clover Studio developer like many others that came over from Capcom to work at Platinum Games. Yusuke Hashimoto, Bayonetta's producer, is one of Kamiya's friends and discussed interest in Kamiya working on a new action game with some fresh mechanics. This led to Hideki Kamiya to work on an action game starring a female protagonist with witch magic and incorporate all sorts of unique interactions through gameplay. He was also heavily inspired by Scandinavian mythology, which explains the holy yet grotesque angel designs. When the game released, it was met with positive reviews and earned many Game of the Year accolades. With that being said, what are my thoughts on Bayonetta 1? Oh, and be warned, this is a retrospective, so I'll be taking a full dive into Bayonetta 1's story. Spoilers are ahead.
Now, this is cheeky. Throwing me these cheap toys.
Let's delve into Bayonetta's story first. I'm going to give you guys a general overview before I get into spoiler territory and just kind of pick apart stuff I don't like, so let's get straight into it. Bayonetta 1 starts with a flashback as the Umbra Witch clan is fighting against the agents of Paradiso, these angelic-like creatures sent from, I'm guessing, their version of heaven, Paradiso, whatever. You are playing as, you guessed it, Bayonetta, the Umbra Witch, working with another Umbra Witch named Jean, and these guys are taking down these angels left and right. A short-lived victory is gained, true, but the agents of Paradiso decide to work with the humans and start the Salem Witch Trials. I'm sorry, the Umbra Witch Trials in this case. The Umbra Witch Trials take place and end up wiping out the entirety of the Umbra Witch clan except for one. Cut to present day, that one witch managed to survive is Bayonetta. She's working with this loudmouth Italian vulgar guy named Enzo, and he's got a mouth on him. He's got a little bit of a mobster personality, if you will. He ends up bringing back Rodin with Bayonetta's help, of course, and this guy will serve as our shopkeeper throughout the game who gives us items, techniques, etc. They trade some information. Bayonetta learns she wants to go to Vigrid to find the Red Eye, which is eventually going to help bring her memories back in some shape or form, and also just help her find out more about herself. Enzo gives her the information to do so. A flight takes off. She encounters Janae again. They fight. Little bit of a rivalry going on between them, and the game just kind of starts in Vigrid and goes on from there. That is, of course, a gross oversimplification and overview, I know, but that's just the beginning of Bayonetta's story. There's a lot of plot twists and turns, time traveling shenanigans, literally fighting gods, because it's Bayonetta. It's ridiculous. And an overall epic final boss and score. The game's just pretty cool in the story regard. I like the story a lot. I think it's absolutely nuts, it's crazy, the jokes hit, all the characters are really cool, and it's just really fun. I genuinely enjoyed the story. I was originally going to go full in and spoil it, but I figured that'd take a little bit too much time in this type of video, considering it is a retrospective and we have a lot to cover, so I do really recommend you guys give it a shot. This game story alone is really fun, energetic, and just has a lot of great things going for it, especially the grand epic scale that just keeps ramping up as the story continues. As you go on from chapter to chapter, more crazy things start happening. I also enjoyed the character dialogue and interactions. It's all just funny and quirky and straight out of an 80s action movie, and I just fell in love with the cheesiness of it all. I just really enjoy the story. However, what about the gameplay? Well, it's exactly how Hideki Kamiya put it. It's an evolution of Devil May Cry's combat, while keeping traditional gun juggles, long aerial combos, that sort of thing. There's still a lot of new toys to play around with, specifically in the way each new weapon was designed to help with the flow of combat. Bayonetta is a witch, so her character reflects all of those elements. When she does a powerful attack, her hair forms ferocious demons. Getting attacked sends out red roses instead of blood. Running through areas gives her butterflies underneath her feet, etc, etc. Bayonetta's fighting style is sassy yet graceful, which in turn makes every hit and dodge feel extremely satisfying. However, despite the amazing combat system, I'm gonna have to talk about my negatives first. I do have issues with the level design and enemy encounters. They come off as pretty hit and miss. I'll start with enemies first. The generic grunts and those types of enemies aren't that bad, and the main bosses are actually extremely fun to fight and have a lot of unique gameplay scenarios. However, again, I draw the line at the mid-boss enemies. Some of these guys are genuinely cheap, some are just poorly executed, and some are just frustrating as all get out. Mainly these guys, yeah, the ones with the red claw, blue claw. They always group up on you, they can chop half your health down, and you literally can't dodge or do anything at certain times. Every time I encounter them, I watch my health bar just drain away after 3 hits, sometimes straight up killing me. I literally couldn't escape from half of these enemies, and yeah, I was pretty mad when it came to fighting them. Another dumb fight was against these boat enemies. They launch missiles at you and all you can do is shoot them down, so it shouldn't be an issue, right? But because of the way a cutscene plays out at this certain section, the fact that control is snatched away from you during that time period is extremely hard to dodge the rapid barrage of missiles, even shoot them down. And even if you use Witch Time, it still can come off as frustrating because of how fast the missiles move. Considering these also take away a huge chunk of your health, it often leads to frustration. There's traps that instantly make you eat 25% of damage when opening a chest as a part of the gameplay level requirement, and you literally can't dodge them, you have to eat the damage. It's frustrating, and of course they have to spawn the blue claw demons. It's annoying, I don't like it. What doesn't help is the fact that these angels move extremely quickly, yet Bayonetta's attacks, especially on her sub-weapons, come out relatively slow and clunky. Now, that could be the frame rate because I was playing on the Wii U, but my point still stands. I feel like I'm constantly fighting underwater in this game. Even when I'm mashing inputs to come out, it feels like this game outright refuses my control. Combos just don't feel like I can easily execute them. Even when I try to time them perfectly, I still always feel I'm off by a couple milliseconds, and it comes off as frustrating. But again, that could be my Wii U frame rate, etc, etc. It makes combat feel like a chore, and with recycling and constantly repeating many of those mini boss encounters in like every single combat scenario, it makes the whole game come off as tedious and has me patiently waiting for the next big boss set piece rather than enjoy the combat as a whole. My recommendation: take breaks in between gameplay segments so you don't burn yourself out like I did. It has the similar issues I had with DMC1, where although I love aspects of combat in this game, Bayonetta, its Witch Time and long aerial strings are always a blast to pull off. There's a lot of things that sour my experience, like repeating boss battles, drawn out overworld sections, and janky platforming, and those types of things. Once you overlook those hurdles, there's a ton of fun to be had. Driving Mach speed on a motorcycle with afterburner music blaring in the background as you shoot hordes of demons is just a blast. Switching between weapons while attacking the Agents of Paradiso to pull off excruciatingly painful combos is just oh so addicting, especially if you end it with a torture attack. The large-scale boss fights and their multi-layered attack patterns are also a huge bonus for me personally, and the final boss fight is just sublime. Bayonetta 1 is a wonderful primer for me. It does play things a bit too safe at times with its DMC-inspired roots, because you can clearly tell, and I do wish weapons were a bit more creative and unique, but all in all, it's a darling experience that I strongly suggest you play. But we're not done yet. As Bayonetta was released to much fanfare in establishing Platinum Games as a brand, another amazing action game was on its way, and it was directed by none other than the legendary Shinji Mikami, widely known for his horror games such as Resident Evil, the Dino Crisis franchise, and of course Resident Evil 4. His roots are obviously very into the horror genre. So what inspired Shinji Mikami to explore a more action-packed video game?
It was the Dark Ages when the Black King and his robots ruled the earth. Some found the courage to resist this tyrant. Among these freedom fighters, one stood out above the rest. He was the last best hope of humankind, and they called him Kashan.
It was this anime produced by Tatsunoko Productions that inspired Mr. Mikami. He was going to originally create a more martial arts focused combat system, but after developing the game God Hand, which had a heavy focus on hand-to-hand combat, he opted to go for a more action-packed third-person shooter instead. And oh boy, what a shooter this game is! Before I get into gushing about how wonderful Vanquish is, allow me to fully delve into the story of this game. For realsies this time, spoilers will be ahead. In the distant future, a space laser blast destroys the entire city of San Francisco. The culprit of firing the laser blast? None other than the Russian Federation. They give America an ultimatum, announce complete and utter surrender or face more destruction. Obviously, America's not about to hold anymore else, so they send the American space military to infiltrate a space station. Enter the DARPA agent Sam Gideon, a former football star who signs up for a DARPA experiment to test out the latest Augmented Reaction Suit, or ARS for short. He is assisted by Elena, who aboards the SBC-2 command ship. Their mission goes as followed, given direct classified orders from President Winter herself. Sam and Elena are to rescue the scientist Dr. Francois Kandin, who is kidnapped by the leader of the Russian Federation. Sam enters Bravo Company led by Lieutenant Robert Burns, and their combined efforts are used to make their way through this vicious space station. The Russians don't let up, throwing all sorts of prototype robots, robotic barricades, forts, and even straight up mechs in their efforts to fend off the American army. Sam and Bravo team make their way through all sorts of dangers in an effort to stop the laser and microwave targeting system from reaching New York and wiping the city off the map. As Sam reaches the microwave station, Kandin tells Sam that Burns and Winters have betrayed the United States before being killed by Burns. Burns tells Sam that he will change the microwave targeting to Moscow under Winters' orders, explaining the city's destruction as in
kind of economic stimulus package. What?
Sam inadvertently defeats Burns, who orders him to escape. Burns uses a bomb in his bionic arm to kill himself and the remaining Bravo Company troops. So long, fellas, you guys will be missed. The Russian Federation leader tells Sam that Winters has secretly supported the order of the Russian Star, but she betrayed them by using the coup as a pretext to declare war on Russia. He claims that she intends to use it to cement her American hegemony worldwide, and that the order preemptively attacked the station as a retribution. After defeating these two slave users, he finds out the leader of the Russian Federation was controlling them all along. The leader of the Russian Federation unit decides to joke with Sam, activates a tactical nuke, and it's up to you to mad dash the way out of there before an explosion goes off, destroying the entire space station. The Russian Federation leader escapes well, is congratulated by his superiors after accomplishing the mission, and the president ends up committing suicide, realizing that her plan has failed. This story is nuts. It's something right out of an 80s or 90s action movie filled with plenty of one-liners and some interesting political commentary that could be seen as relevant in today's world. On top of the story being an absolute crazy ride worth experiencing, the gameplay also reflects that with this slew of unique weapons and aggressive movement options that make this game one of the most intricate third-person shooters I've ever played. The gunplay in this game is also something really refreshing. Although it is your generic assault rifles, heavy machine guns, rocket launchers, etc., etc., it's the way it's implemented into the gameplay with the boost meter that makes it so unique. What I like about the boost meter is being able to slow down time from jumping from covers, sliding from place to place while aiming, and those sorts of things. It just helps the game feel that much more aggressively paced, really allowing you to control the field of battle purely through your actions and gunplay, rather than sitting behind cover and doing absolutely nothing for 30 minutes per mission. That's what I really like Vanquish for. You can clear things in a couple of minutes. Sometimes it'll take you a little bit longer because you want to play really defensively. There's a lot of variety in your playstyle that helps the game feel a little bit more intricate and puzzle oriented in the way of dispatching enemies without wasting a ton of ammo than other third-person shooters out there, which also makes the harder difficulty modes that much more rewarding. The ARS suit is wonderful. The exhilarating feeling I get sliding on my knees at breakneck speeds while slowing down time and pinpointing where to shoot targets, or lunging into the metallic opposition with a well-placed jet kick, watching the enemy explode into nuts and bolts is pure ecstasy. The amount of movement options that are in the game are great and offer a lot of fun gameplay options. Throwing an EMP, slowing down time to pinpoint a perfect shot to detonate the EMP, allowing an electric field to stun all enemies within range. Yeah, that's easily in my top 5 coolest things to pull off in a video game. The level design is great as well. Many open-ended areas that allow you to go crazy, sliding and dodging around to your heart's content, while also having more enclosed level design, which allows you to sit back and take a breather to more traditional third-person shooting gameplay. I think my biggest gripe with this game is the recycled boss encounters and on-rails transport segments. They overstay their welcome and feel a little bit samey after a while and take up a huge chunk of time. And even with that being said, the boss battles are a little bit of a stretch, as it's really fun to slide around and take down their weak points. The game does a great job of mixing things up despite what I said earlier, and the missions are a blast. Even the escort sections, due to the creative freedom you have to score huge points in an arcadey style combat system. Blowing up crates or shooting down ramps that drop oil barrels on robots is never going to get old, and the management of your boost system, switching between hyper aggressive and slower paced cover shooting, is a wonderful blend of third person shooting fun. Not to mention, this game solidified the Platinum Games formula. What do I mean? Well, let's go over it. Firstly, a story with a relevant political theme, despite being made a couple years ago, check. Gameplay that involves slowing down time for a brief period, check. And thirdly, crazy action-packed cutscenes that make absolutely no sense, check. And of course, none other than the ludicrous plot twist that hits you at the tail end of the game, check, 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 check. Well, Bayonetta started the formula. I really feel like Vanquish solidified it. And that's why I really love Vanquish. Yes, I know it had some so-so sells, but it did get extremely good review scores. Now our only hope is that we get a sequel, because the game left us on a pretty interesting cliffhanger. Hopefully, thanks to the new Nintendo partnership, we could get something for the Nintendo Switch, but only time will tell. It's disheartening to me. Not only is it one of the better Platinum games due to its unique style and it taking place in a third-person shooter environment rather than the typical character action genre, I just thought it offered something extremely unique to the Platinum Games formula and of course to the game's market in general. But those so-so sells really unfortunately and ironically shot this game in the foot. I really did enjoy my time with Vanquish. The creative weapons like the LFE gun, being able to send this ball of energy that rips through enemies, is so unique and diverse, and I just liked the gameplay and aesthetic of it. Again, I really hope we can get a sequel for the Nintendo Switch, but I don't know. It's up to what Platinum wants to do, and with Shinji Mikami leaving Platinum Games to work at his own company on the game series Evil Within, again, only time will tell if we'll get anything related to the Vanquish, genre, series, whatever you want to call these line of game. Anyways, I hope something comes out of it in the future soon, because this game is genuinely great. And that's gonna do it for part 2 of the Platinum Games retrospective. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, thanks for sticking around this long and just watching it and all that jazz. Join me next time where I'm gonna be going over the Wii U era / licensed game era of Platinum Games as we approach the end of this retrospective. With that all being said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.